We are Daf Mem Dalet Amud Aleph. So the Gemara is continuing from the case that we had yesterday. The case that we had yesterday was that Reuven stole the field from Shimon. Reuven, the stealer, sold the field to Levi.
Recording in progress.
Yehuda comes along, and he wants to take the field from Levi. So he said that Shimon, the original owner of the field, he's not going to be able to testify for Reuven. Why? Because he has a personal interest involved. All right. What did we say he was going to testify? We said that he was going to testify that the field doesn't belong to Yehuda. Right. It's not that he was going to testify that the field belonged to Levi. It's just that he's going to testify that the field doesn't belong to Yehuda, so that this way he can come afterwards and collect it. Says the Gemara, Vilukma bigazlan. Why do we have to go through the whole roundabout case, right? Let him just, let us establish it. Okay, let us establish the case that it's talking about the Gazlan himself, right? Meaning that what? Reuven stole the field from Shimon. Yehuda comes and attacks Reuven. Why did it have to be that Reuven sells the field to Levi and then Levi comes and attacks Levi? Just let it be very simple. Reuven steals from Shimon. Yehuda comes, argues on Reuven, says, this field is mine. And Shimon, who the field was stolen to, says, no, the field doesn't belong to you, Yehuda. Right? Why did we have to go through the extra step of Levi? You could have said the same exact thing with just staying by Reuven. Why did you have to bring the case that Reuven sold it to Levi and then Yehuda came along? You can say Yehuda came to Reuven direct. Right? Says the Gemara, Mishum de Kabai lemitni Seifa, because it had to say the case of the Seifa, the end case. That is what? Machar lo para, machar lo talit. The case of he sold the cow or he sold the garment. That in that case, the dafka machar the have liyush v'shinui reshut, aval lo machar the hadrale lo. So again, what are we talking about? We are talking about the original Braita, right? Which was on Mem Gimel Amud Bet. We said Tanu Rabbanan machar lo bait machar lo sadeh en meid lo alea mipnei shachayuta olav machar lo para machar lo talit meid lo alea. So he said if he sold the thing, he's able to testify. How is he able to testify if he sold the tarit, that thing, that it belongs to him? Says the Gemara, you know why? Because over here there was shinui reshut, there was yiush and shinui reshut. When there's yiush and shinui reshut, what does that cause? That means that the object, no matter what, stays by this person.
By the new guy, by the buyer.
The object is going to automatically stay by him. So let's plug it into the case again. What happened? Reuven stole from Shimon. Right? Now, what's going to happen if we just leave it at Reuven steals from Shimon? What's going to happen? Reuven is going to Shimon is going to come along and he's going to show, even though there was Yush, if he's going to manage to bring proof afterwards, what's going to happen? He's going to manage to get the exact object that was stolen from him. He's going to manage to get it back from Reuven. However, if Reuven sells the object, right? If Reuven sells the object, even if Shimon is going to come with all the proofs afterwards, what's going to happen? He's never going to be able to get the original object back. Why? Because there was Yiush and Shinui Reshut. And this is why, says the Gemara, why he was able to testify that the object doesn't belong to Yehuda. Why not? Because no matter what? Because no matter what, he's never going to be able to get the same object back. So he has no interest involved to testify that the object belongs to Levi or doesn't belong to Levi. But says the Gemara, this is only true if there was a sale. If there was a sale from Reuven to Levi. Because there's Shinui Reshut. So that's why we were able to, that's why the Mishnah, the Braita originally said that you were able to testify. But again, when are you able to testify? only if there was a sale from Reuven to Levi.
Is it one of
It's
them
two
or
conditions.
Must be two of them.
You have to have Yush and Shinui Reshut. So Yush, we're assuming that there right away was Yush. But the reason why he was testifying, why? Is because there was no Negiut involved. Why was there no Negiut? Because there was also Shinui Reshut. So says the Gemara, because you had to establish the Sefa, which is what? Machar Talit, Machar Para, Machar Parit, Machar Para, Machar Talit, he sold the cow or he sold the garment, that had to be established how? That there was a transaction, that there was Shinui Reshut. Right? There was Shinui Reshut. So therefore, since that case had to be like that, so we said also the beginning. But en hachinami, really? You could have said for the case of the field, you could have said that it stayed by Reuven, and Yehuda came to attack Reuven directly.
אין פה עניין של
Okay.
מחובר לקרקע או לא, אין פה עניין של...
עוד לא. Move on? Understood? So the Gemara started off saying, why do we have to go through the sale of Reuven to Levi? Just keep it at Reuven. Yehuda comes, attacks Reuven, and that's it. Answers the Gemara. You know why? Because the Sefa had to be specifically in the case where Reuven sold it to Levi, because otherwise there wouldn't be Shinui Reshut, and then he wouldn't be able to testify. But now that Reuven sold to Levi, there's Shinui Reshut, and that's why he's able to testify. So that's why we also had to put the first case to be that he testified. Okay, says the Gemara, Dehavale Yush v'Shinui Reshut. Ava lo machar. If he didn't sell the hadrale, that he's able to take the exact item back, lo, you wouldn't be able to testify. Okay, Tana Reisha Nami. Therefore, the Reisha was also said where Reuven sold it to Levi. V'Sefa Nami nihi dimiyamesh migufam midame miyaesh. Says the Gemara, you're right. Wait a second, but if he's miyaesh, if he gives up hope on the actual item, does it mean that he gave up on the money? He still has an interest involved, right? The money is still there. He's still going to ask for claim the money. So he still has negiut badavar. Says the Gemara, lo tzricha demit gazlan. Says the Gemara, no, he doesn't have an interest. Why? Because the gazlan Reuven, he died. What does that mean? Detnan hagozel uma'achil et banav v'iniach lifnehem peturim mileshalem. If the gazlan, if someone stole something and he leaves it afterwards to his children, he dies and he leaves it afterwards to his children, the children don't have to pay back the gzela, that which was stole.
Ganav, yes.
Same thing, ganav gazlan, it's the same concept. Okay, says the Gemara. Okay, well, we understand that. That's understandable. That's the halacha. It's fine. However, velukma biyoresh. So, what did we see in this case right here, Ditnan? That he died and he left it to his children, right? So why in our case did we have to establish it that he stole from that Reuven stole from Shimon and Reuven sold to Levi? Why did he have to sell it to Levi? Just let him have it inherited to his children. Why did you have to establish the case as Mechira? You could have just left it as Yoresh. Says the Gemara, Hani chaleman de amar. This is okay, according if you say it according to the man de amar, that what? The amar reshut yoresh lav ki reshut lokeach dami. Shape. Ela leman de amar reshut yoresh ki reshut lokeach dami ma'ika lemeimar. So he says, if you're going to say now that the reshut of the yoresh is the same thing like the reshut of what? Of the father. So then what?
They need to. Then does he need to?
No, then there's no shinui reshut.
נכון.
Then what happens?
הוא יכול לגשת לזה, יש לו יכולת.
Yafet, then he's able to reclaim his object back. Why? Because there was no shinui reshut. Maybe there was yiush, but there's no shinui reshut. Again, if you're going to tell me that the reshut of the yoresh is the same thing like the father, the reshut of the yoresh.
Same thing, then they would have to pay back.
No, again, it's not that they would have to pay back or not. The thing is there shinui reshut? We said that there's two conditions for it to say yiush and shinui reshut. So if you say that the yoshim, the inheritors, are the same thing like the father, the gazlan, then they're going to need to pay back, and then he's going to have an interest involved.
Yes.
Right? He's going to have.
You don't need to pay back. That means there is Shinui Yoshut.
If you say that the reshut of the yoresh is like lokeach, is like someone that bought, so then they don't have, then there's no shinui reshut, and then they would have to technically pay back. So, but now we're left with a case where what? Where they technically wouldn't have to, they would have to pay back, which means that there is an interest involved.
But I think
Recording stopped.
David says
In progress.
So, another question we have is what? Abai had another question. מפני שאחריותו עליו ואין אחריותו עליו. מפני שהיא חוזרת לו ואין חוזרת לו מבעלה. Says the Gemara, says Abai, if you're going to base it on the yoresh or not the yoresh, why did we have to go through the whole difficulty of mipnei shachayuto in the previous page, right? We said the reason why he's able to testify or he's not able to testify mipnei shachayuto alav or en achayuto alav. He has a guarantee, he doesn't have a guarantee. If you're establishing the case to be the yoresh, then the question should be, or the deciding factor should be not achayut no achayut. What should it be? If it goes back to him, if the item that was stolen goes back to him or doesn't go back to him, because that's going to be the deciding factor if he has negiut badavar or not. Right? What's going to decide if he has negiut or no negiut? By the case of yoresh. If Shimon, the original owner, is going to be able to get his original item back or not.
It depends on this vara, if it's lוקח או
יפה. So based on what we're saying that technically this braita could, the braita of the previous page can be talking about yoresh. So he says it's a problem. Why is it a problem? One, because we just saw that there's a manda amal that it wouldn't work. That's number one. Second problem of Abaye, he says, because then why does the braita have to establish the case, or why did the braita establish the case of mipnei shachayuto alav or en achayuto alav? Right? He has the guarantee, he doesn't have the guarantee. It should be instead if the item that was stolen can come back to him or not come back to him. Right? And it's not like that. So he said we're left with two problems. Says the Gemara, okay, because of these two problems, that Rav Sheshet was the one that said, Ela kederavin bar Shmuel. That rather we're going to answer the question, what's the question? What's the difference between the Reisha and the Seifa of the previous Braita, which is what? The previous Braita we were talking about that if he sold a house or a field, he cannot testify. If he sold a cow or a garment, he could testify, right? So now we're trying to figure out what was the difference between the two. So, and we just disproved whatever we were trying to say. So now we're saying Ela kede Rabin bar Shmuel. The Amar Ravin bar Shmuel mishmei de Shmuel, that Ravin bar Shmuel said in the name of Shmuel. Hamocher sadeh lechavero, if a person sells his field to his friend, shelo ba'achayut, without a guarantee, en me'id lo aleha, he can no longer testify that the field belongs to him. Why? Mipnei shema'amida bifnei ba'al chovo. What happens when Shimon sells a field to Reuven? Okay? Shimon sells the field to Reuven. To make things less complicated, we're going to skip directly to Yehuda. Yehuda comes along and says to Reuven, you bought this field? The field belongs to me. How can you buy it from Shimon? The field belongs to me. So what's Shimon going to do? Shimon has a very strong interest to say what? That the field is not Yehuda. Why is he going to say that? Regardless of whatever happens, the field is not in his possession, right? So if it goes to Reuven or if it goes to Yehuda, why should he care technically? You know why Shimon is going to care if it stays by Reuven more than if it goes to Yehuda?
Because Reuven stole it from him. So
No. Reuven didn't steal. We're talking about where Reuven bought it.
Oh, okay.
He bought it. why would Shimon have an interest to say that the field stays by Reuven?
Did he give אחריות or he didn't give אחריות?
Without achayut.
הנגיעה, שיש לו נגיעה מזה.
Lama yesh lo negiah? Why does he have an interest to say that it stays by Reuven? What happens right
לא,
now?
עבר יד.
No, if he proves, he's not going to have to give the money back.
He's not giving the money back anyways.
בגלל שיש שם, איך אמרנו קודם, שעבר מיד ליד.
No, not shinui reshut. Because if now, let's say, Levi comes along and tells Shimon, Shimon, you owe me money. What's Shimon gonna do?
לך לראובן.
He's gonna tell, okay, listen, I don't have the cash right now. Go to Reuven, who bought a field from me. He has the field that, or let's say the loan that you gave me was mortgaged to this field. So now go to the field is by Reuven, right? But when can he say that you can go to Reuven? Only if he establishes that the field was his and he sold it to Reuven.
זה מה שאמרתי לך, שהיה שטר מכר.
No, it doesn't have to be shtar mecher.
כאילו שהיה טרנזקציה בינו לבינו, שזה
יפה.
אמיתי, זה מה שאמרתי.
Exactly. So okay. So that case is fine. So over here, Shimon has an interest to say that the field belongs to Reuven, even if he didn't make a guarantee with Reuven. Why? Because then lekuchot, someone that Bar Chov, is going to come and he's going to take the field from who? He's going to take the field from Reuven. But if Yehuda is going to claim that the field belongs to him, so then he's not going to be able to do that. Okay? So it says, Hamocher sadeh lechavero shelo ba'achayut. If a person sells his field without a guarantee, en me'id lo alea, he can no longer testify in it. Why? Mipnei she'ma'amida bifnei ba'al chovo. Because he has an interest, so that now if someone owes him money, he can send the guy to go to collect the field that he sold to Shimon, to Reuven. Says the Gemara, Vidavka bait o sadeh. This is only true for a field or a house. Aval para vetalit lo mibaya. Bistama de lo mishtabda le. Says this is only true for a house or a field. Why? Because a house or a field you can mortgage for a loan, right? So that's why you can't testify for the house or field. But for para or tarit, over there, it's metalterin. It's movable. It's movable property. Movable property you can't just transfer the way you want, right? You can't mortgage it off. Therefore, for the field, he has an interest. For the metalterin, there's no interest because it makes no difference to him whether since he sold it shelo ba'achayut, right? So it makes no difference to him if it stays by Reuven or it's gonna go to Yehuda afterwards. Says the Gemara, my tama. What's the reason why by the para and talit that it's going to work? Metaltele ninhu umetaltele lebal chov lo mishtabde. Says the Gemara, because it's considered to be movable property, and movable property is not able to be mortgaged off. ואף אגב דכתב למגלימה דעל כתפי הני מילה דאיתנו בעיניהו אבל יתנו בעיניהו לא. Says the Gemara, he writes in the shtar, he writes in the document to the Baal Chov, right, to the person that he borrowed the money, he says, I'm going to pay you back whatever I owe you, even to the garment that's on me, even the garment that I'm wearing. So technically, what should that mean? That should mean that it's even including the para and the tarit. Says the Gemara, no, there's a difference between para and tarit and a regular and the garment that's on me. Why? Because when he makes such condition, he's only saying the condition for whatever's available in front of him right now, not for what he sold. Yes, whatever's available in front of him right now, even if it's the garment on him, he's going to sell it to make sure to give it back. But any property that he already sold, movable property that he already sold, this is not included for the paying back the loan. Says the Gemara, Ela afilu asa'a apotiki nami lo. Okay, even if he makes the metalterin, he makes it apotiki, right? What's apotiki? It's that he says clearly that this item is going to be to pay back for the loan. Even in that case, if he sells it, it doesn't work.
Guarantor.
Yeah,
Or collateral.
yeah, collateral. And then he sells the collateral, as long as it obviously wasn't in the shoot of the debtor, right? He sells the collateral. It's not going to be it's not going to be like a mortgage for the loan. Says the Gemara, my tama. What's the reason? Kiderava, like Rava. The Amar Rava asa avdo apotiki. If he made his slave to be a mortgage for the loan, umachro, and he saw umachro balchov. Umachro, and the owner sells the slave now, right? He made the slave as a collateral, and then he sells the slave. Bal chov gove mimenu. The bal chov can come and collect the slave, even though he sold it. Shoro v'chamoa apotiki. But if he made his ox or donkey apotiki umacharo, and then he sells them afterwards, and bal chov gove himeno. The bal chov can no longer collect from this. Why? My tama hai it lekala v'hai let lekala. Because for the sale of a slave, there is a kol, there is it becomes public knowledge. However, the sale of a cow or a thing doesn't become public knowledge. Okay? Says the Gemara, v'lechosh dilma aknile metaltele agav mekalkai. The Amar Rabba I aknile metaltele agav mekalkai kani mekalkai kani metaltele. Okay, says the Gemara. Okay, that's all fine and dandy. Everything is okay. Now,
if it is an exception, if it is no
yeah, exactly. So now says the Gemara. Wait a second. We have another possibility of why metalterin should be considered to be a mortgage for the loan. And then what? And then he's going to have an interest, and he won't be allowed to testify. What? He says, if he makes the metalterin connected to the land, and he says, by saying this land and this cow are going to be mortgaged for the loan. So now that he put it together with the land, he put the two together, so then it works. So in this case, what happens? In this case, it's still possible that that even though it's metaltelin, it still should have the same deen as the karka, as the land, and then it wouldn't work.
But it's an opening. The karka, nothing will happen to it. The para can die tomorrow, can be sick, can be this,
Okay.
that. So now you took the karka with the para, it's $1, and now after the para chak it become 90 cents. So it's not right.
Very good, but again, that's when you give a security. It's not always necessarily the exact value of the loan.
No, I just give an example.
Yeah, so I'm telling you, when you give a security, yes, maybe the para is going to die, but it's a risk he's taking. He says, "This is what I'm doing. What are you going to do?" Okay, so he says. So maybe the case was where the metaltelin now becomes like the kalka, and in this case, what's going to happen? He's going to have an interest. He's going to have negiut badavar. So how is he going to be able to testify? Says the Gemara, ve'amar Rav Chazda vehu dekatavle dela ke'asmachta udela ketafsle deshtare. This works. The fact that you can connect the metaltelin to the kalka is only if he writes in the shtal that it's not going to be asmachta. Okay, it's not going to be like a regular. He calls it a conditional commitment, okay, or or not like a regular standard form, okay, a regular form. Only in this case would you be able to connect the metaltelin to the kalka, Okay. What's asmachta? Dilaka asmachta. So asmachta is considered to be you make a condition. Okay? You make a condition to it. So he says, I'm not making any condition involved to this thing. This is going to be considered like the kalka. Okay? Additionally, it cannot also be kitofse deshtare, meaning that this contract is a unique contract. This is not a standard form of a contract. So this is he's saying, this is going to be an exception to the general rule. Okay? This fact that I'm connecting the metalterin to the kalka is going to be the exception of the rule, and he has to write this in the document that I'm making the exception to the rule, and it's going to be like that. Only then can you connect the two together. Okay? That's it. So he says, so in this case, he has an igyut. So how is he going to be able to testify? Hacha b'maya skinan, says the Gemara. So what are we really talking about over here? Kegon shelakachu machar le'altar. That what? He bought it. He bought the cow. Okay? He bought the cow, and right away he sold it. So there's no possibility of it being mortgaged together with the land. So that's why we say that the metaltelin he's not going to have negiut badavar, because there's no way that he connects it to the land. Says the Gemara, velechosh dilma de'akni hu de'ikni hu shamat minei de'ikni kana umachar kana vehorish lam ishtabed. Says the Gemara, wait a second. There's another case, not connected to our Gemara necessarily, that over there we are not sure. In that Gemara, we aren't sure. If a person says that, listen, the something that I'm going to buy in the future is going to be mortgaged to you for this loan. Okay? Move on. The Gemara in a different place, not our Gemara, is not sure about that. Okay? Now, the Gemara, our Gemara, what did our Gemara just try saying? Our Gemara tried saying, V'lechush, let us suspect, right? Because what did we do? We started off by saying that he bought the he bought the cow, and he sold it right away. This way, there's no possibility of what? There's no possibility of him having connected the cow together with the land for a mortgage. Right? That's what we said. We said just previously that if a person buys a cow and he connects it with the land, then we're in a problem. So what did we say? We said, okay, I understand that. But over here, what was the case? That he bought the cow and sold the cow right away. The Gemara tried saying now, the next step of the Gemara, tried saying, but wait a second, maybe before he bought the cow, he told the guy, listen, this land and the cow that I'm about to buy is going to be mortgaged. And then it's going to be a problem. Says the Gemara, if you're going to say something like that, then how come the Gemara over there has a problem and that is not sure if you're going to buy something in the future, can it be considered a mortgage or not? Here, our Gemara, based on what we're saying, according to our Gemara, it sounds very simple that it should work. So why over there does the Gemara have a question?
Can you do something in things that lo be'alma?
Yefeh, that's exactly the question.
Okay.
That's exactly the question of the Gemara over there. But based on what we're trying to say, it didn't happen yet. Meaning him buying the thing didn't happen yet. So how can you base something off of something that didn't happen yet? That's what the Gemara over there is trying to ask. But based on what we are trying to say over here, it sounds like it works. Right? Because what are we trying to say? We're trying to say, you know why he's going to have an igiyut badavar even though he bought it and sold it right away? Because maybe before he bought it, he said that this land and the cow that I'm about to buy are going to be mortgaged.
And he's not supposed to sell it. If he said in advance that it will be mortgaged, you bought it, you cannot sell it.
No, again, even if he mortgages a regular cow, he shouldn't be selling it. But he's a crook. He went ahead and he sold it anyways. Or he thought that he's going to have money to pay back regardless. Okay? So, the Gemara just took off this possibility of what? Of it being where, or the Gemara is left, at this point the Gemara is left with what? With one option of that he bought and sold right away, and this way there's no interest for him to say, right? In this type of case, there's no interest for him to say that the cow belongs to me or doesn't belong to me, right? Because there's no achayut involved, and there's no way for the cow to be also mortgaged to someone else, mortgaged together with the property.
But why does he need to do it? He can exclude when that's it.
Exclude what?
The para. I don't know. I have to
Because again, our Braita on Mem Gimel Amud Bet said that there's a difference between Karka and Para, right? So we said, wait a second, maybe there's a possibility
to tie them together.
to that the metaltalin is connected with the Karka, and then he has an interest involved.
Right.
Says the Gemara, you know why he doesn't have an interest involved? You know why it's not possible for him to connect the metaltalin together with the Karka? Because he bought it and sold it right away. So that's why there's no interest involved. Because he was never able to connect it with Karka. Okay? ולחש דאיקני הוא, שמט דאיקני הוא, says the Gemara, שמט מיני דאיקני קנה, הוא מחר קנה והוריש, לא משתבד, says the Gemara, לא צריכה, דקאמרי עדים, ידינן בהי, דלה הווה ארעה מעולם, says the Gemara, another possibility of what? Of metaltalin never being able to be connected to the land is what? Another possibility of the metaltalin never being able to be connected to the land, which means that he would never be able to connect the metaltalin together with the land, is if there are edim that come and testify that we know that this guy never had land. If the edim come and testify that this guy never had land, so he was never able to be mishabed the para together with land. Okay, so that's how you can have.
Atomic bomb.
Exactly. So that's how you can have where metaltalin are never going to be able to be connected to the Karka, and therefore he's never going to have an interest involved. Says the Gemara, sorry. יפה. והאמר רב פאפא, אף אגב דאמור רבנן, המוכר שדה לחברו שלו באחריות, even though Chachamim said that if a person sells his field without a achayut, without a guarantee, uva balcho v'talfa, and then a Baal Chov comes and collects the field, eno chozer alav. It doesn't go back to who? To Shimon. Meaning, if a person comes, Shimon comes and he sells his field to Reuven. Comes along Levi, right? And the Baal Chov, and he says to Shimon, wait a second, you owe me money, right? So let me go to the field. Yehuda comes in the meantime, and not even with the Levi, or Yehuda comes along and he says, wait a second, you bought Mechila, Reuven, you bought the field from Shimon, the field belongs to me. So even if it's Shelo B'achayut, but over here it's a little bit different. It's not talking about so much Baal Chov. What is it talking about? It's talking about the contradiction of the original point of sale. Okay? So even in this case, Chachamim said, Reuven cannot go back to Shimon. Why? Because since he sold it Shelo B'achayut, since he sold it without a guarantee, this guarantee even includes the fact that the field might not belong to him. Normally, everything that we were saying till now.
There's no claim to it because there's not.
This achayut is implicit.
Wait a second. So even though we were saying till now, wait a second. Let me.
He should have owned it.
Let me explain.
Yeah, but why somebody would
Let me explain, because he's going to sell it for cheaper. Let me explain.
Huh?
Let me explain. Rega.
There's no deal.
Till now, what were we saying? We were saying that the only time that it's gonna be okay is only if they're contesting the fact. They're contesting the fact of not of the original owner, of the sale or the Baal Chov. Okay, what does that mean? That means what are we? When do we say Shelo B'achayut? When a person sells Shelo B'achayut, what does Shelo B'achayut mean? Till now we were saying Shelo B'achayut without a guarantee. What does that mean? That means that if a Baal Chov is going to come, I'm not required to reimburse you. Okay, that's how we understood Baal Chov till now, right? That if someone is going to come, if Levi is going to come, if the debtor, Levi is going to come and want to collect the field, and he's going to collect it from you, Reuven, you're not going to come back to me with any complaints. That's how we understood That's how we understood Shelo B'achayut until now. Right? But what would happen based on what we said? What would happen if Yehuda comes and contests the fact that it belonged to Shimon in the first place? Till now, the way we understood is that if Yehuda is going to come and say, Shimon, how did you sell the field? The field belongs to me. So then, Reuven is going to be able to come back to Reuven, back to Shimon. Reuven is going to be able to come back to Shimon and say, hey, how come you sold me a field that doesn't belong to you? And he's going to be able to collect his money back from...
If there is achrayut.
Even without achrayut. Till now...
The ownership is implicit.
Again.
If you sell it, that means you own it. You own it.
Till now... Ronen. Till now... תקשיב.
Till now, achiyut is just for a chova from somebody else.
Yeah.
Till now, the way we understood achayut, shelo ba'achayut, is only if there's going to be a bar chov that comes along to collect. However, again, originally, what are we thinking? Originally, what would happen if Yehuda would claim that Shimon didn't even own the field, meaning Shimon sold the field that belonged to Yehuda.
So there's no way.
So what would happen in this case? Normally, what would we think? That Shelo B'achayut doesn't include this. Okay? And that what? Now, Reuven is going to have to give the field to Yehuda, but Reuven is also going to come back to Shimon and tell Shimon, listen, you have to pay me the field because I bought the field from you, understanding that the field belonged to you. However, says Rav Papa, according to Chachamim, Shelo B'achayut includes even contesting the original ownership. Meaning that when Yehuda is going to come and contest, how did Shimon sell you the field? It belongs to me. Shelo B'achayut includes even this. What does that? What difference does that mean? That's Chachamim. Chachamim, that's their opinion. So in that case, we don't have to go crazy and understand the whole what's Shelo B'achayut, the whole thing. Once I tell it to you, Shelo B'achayut, I sell you the field, Shelo B'achayut, right? At this point, Shimon no longer has an interest in the field. Why? Because even if Yehuda is going to come and contest the fact if Shimon owned it or not, for him it makes no difference. Because he sold it without a guarantee, and Reuven is never going to be able to claim the money from Shimon. So says the Gemara, this is already, even in this type of case where Yehuda comes to contest the ownership, Shimon no longer has an interest involved. So he should be allowed to testify. Okay? So says the Gemara, והאמר רב פאפא אף אגב דאמרו רבנן המוכר שדה לחברו שלו באחריות הוא בא בעל חול וטרפה אינו חוזר עליו נמצאת שאינו שלו חוזר עליו הכה במה יסקינן במכיר בה שהיא חמורו. He says over here, what is it talking about?
בת של חמור.
No, he sees, he knows, everyone knows that this chamor belonged to him. How do they know it belonged to him? Because they saw the chamor giving birth to it. They saw the mother giving birth to it and they knew that the mother was this thing. So now everyone knows that it belongs to him. So therefore there's no way to contest that maybe it belonged to Yehuda. Because he knew for a fact that it belonged to Shimon. Okay? ורב זביד אמר, אפילו נמצאת שאינו שלו, אינו חוזר עליו. Rav Zavid says, even like what we were saying before, that even if it's found not to be his, meaning even if Shimon ended up selling a donkey that doesn't belong to him, Reuven can never come back and say, you sold something that doesn't belong to you, give me my money back.
Donkey alone? Or with the land?
Donkey alone, even for metaltenin.
No question.
Again, but this no, because what happens even by metaltenin, if Shimon sells something that belongs to Yehuda, what happens?
Well, if there is no Yehush, then fine. But if there is Yehush,
so yeah, that's why we have to establish the case. Okay, so he says over here, אפילו נמצאת שאינו שלו, אינו חוזר עליו, דאמר לאלה, הכי זביני לך שלא באחריות. He says why? Because this is exactly why I sold it to you without a guarantee. You should have been careful. How do they say? If the deal is too good to be true, it's probably not true, right? Exactly. Okay, גופה, we can technically stop here. We'll just read till the end, and then we'll go back tomorrow, Be'ezrat Hashem. Gufa, based on this case again. Amar Ravin Bar Shmuel, Mishmei de Shmuel, Hamocher sadeh lechavero shelo b'achayut. If a person sells his field without achayut, en me'id lo alea, he can no longer testify on him. Why? Mipnei shema'amida bifnei bar chovo. Because now he's able to send the bar chov to collect the field from it, so he still has an interest involved in it. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen ve'amen.